Hello and good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. And it's Petra. It's Petra, and you're watching High End Rollers TV, and we're on episode number 21. I am so excited today. We have our special guest who is Kimanzi Constable, and he's going to be sharing with us what is the next step for you after you've made your first 100,000. What is the next step? So we're going to have such a good time. We're going to be talking about how you can make more money, how you can make more impact, and that's what it's all about. So welcome, Kimanzi. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me, Petra. I'm excited. I'm here in the same country as you.
You are.
Yeah, you said I'm a special guest. Am I like the specialist guest you've had so far?
Can I really say that? I don't want to offend my other special guests, Kimanzi.
Okay, we'll keep it at that I'm a special guest.
Special guest.
Yes.
I'm so glad to have you on. So first, let me just introduce you. And then I'm going to share a little bit about Kimanzi because he just really cracks me up. One of the reasons why I really wanted you to be on the show was because on Facebook you are just everywhere. 1 minute you're in Dublin, Kimanzi, at the Guinness factory. 1 minute you're in London by the London Eye. So we all want to know what is going on. Okay, where is Kimanzi, and how can we build a business that is going to enable us to travel worldwide? So let me give you a quick intro. So here's Kimanzi, and he is the author of 4 books that have sold over 100,000 copies. And he's a writer for large publications such as Entrepreneur Magazine, Success Magazine, the Huffington Post, AskMen, and his articles have been featured in Business Insider. Okay. And Time Magazine, Fox, CBS, NBC News, among other places. And he is an international speaker and consultant who has booked events in 38 countries. Wow. And his goal is to help you to create a profitable lifestyle business that allows you to have that surreal life. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now that you've made your 100,000, what can we do next? Because as an entrepreneur, what we do best, or the things that we're thinking about most, is making that money. Okay, we're hustling, we're grinding, we're getting clients, and then all we want to do is to make money to leave our 9-to-5s. And then once we've left, it's about having that sustainable income. So what you want to do is always make sure that we're in profit. Okay, but you're going to be sharing with us once you've made that 100,000, because that's kind of the goal that entrepreneurs want to get to. We want to make that first 100,000, but then when you've made it, what's next? You've got your steady flow of clients. You're making your good income. You've cleared off, your credit card that helped you to start your business. But now you're probably thinking, what's next for me? What is possible? What could I do now? I don't really want to take on any more one-to-one clients right now because I'm fully booked. And quite frankly, you don't need to. So what's next? So before we get into that, Kimanzi, do you want to share with us how you started? Because I know that you were delivering bread.
Yeah, well, it's a little deceiving. I was delivering bread, but it was a business that I had started at 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was a vacation relief service for independent bread owners. So the bread owners were all, they owned a franchise, they delivered the bread, but to go on vacation, the company did not provide them a vacation person because they were independent. So my job was they would hire me to come in a week at a time and run their routes so they can go on vacation. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but since these guys had invested $500,000 into the franchise, they weren't going to trust anybody to run their business. They wanted somebody they can trust. So I came in there, showed them they can trust me. And when I did that, I had like a full schedule for an entire year, like within a month.
Wow.
And then by like 3 months into this, they were saying, we need more. We need more. More of us want to go on vacation. So I hired a second person. That person's schedule filled. By year 2, I had 6 people doing this in Wisconsin, where I had lived, and in Chicago. And I had 6 people doing this, and the business was doing $500,000 a year. And that's what I did for 12 years. Now, the delivering bread part came because at 19 years old, I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars. So like, I went nuts. Like I owned 3 houses at 19. I owned 2 cars. I had every toy a young man could imagine, all the Xboxes and PlayStations, and just it was ridiculous.
Wow.
And then at the end of the year, Uncle Sam was like, guess what? We want taxes on what you made. And I'm like, what? I'm like, who's going to pay that? Right? So I did not learn, and nobody in my family was an entrepreneur. Nobody in my life was an entrepreneur. So I was just kind of winging it. And because I mismanaged the finances, I was always had to be on the bread truck. I couldn't just manage the business. I always had to be in the business because I needed the money. So that's why I was on the bread truck for 12 years, just because of sheer stupidity.
Wow.
But in 2011, I saw what we were going through as working people, and I wanted to write a book about it. And writing was something that I had loved to do when I was young, but didn't think you could make any money at it. So in 2011, I saw that self-publishing was starting to become a thing, and I self-published my first book called Tales of the Everyday Working Man and Woman. I put that book out there thinking that on this internet thing, like people were going to somehow see it and they're going to buy it. I'm going to be rich. So I put this book out like super excited. The book came out, the first day it came out, I was on Amazon every hour checking the sales. And I would refresh and it was like a 0. I come back an hour later, it was like a 0. I come back 3 hours later, it's like a 0. And I'm like, what is going on with this Amazon thing? So I Googled it. I'm like, how often does Amazon update their results? Like every hour. And I'm like, well, maybe they got it wrong with my book. So I went to bed, came back the day later, it was 0. And I'm like, I was so crushed, Petra. I was so
my
crushed.
God, how can you imagine?
But that experience taught me one thing, and that was if you're going to do anything online, you need to have an audience. You need to have some social media followers. You need to have an email list. You need to be on some shows. You need to do a lot of things to build an audience. So that's what I spent the beginning part of 2012 doing, was building an audience. By the end of that year, to fast forward the story, I had self-published a second book, and both of those books had sold 45,000 copies due to the efforts that I had made building my audience. And so from there, at the end of 2012, I had a business. I was making about $5,000 a month. I felt comfortable to quit to sell my bread business, which is what I did. So 2012, 2013, 2014, it was a matter of growing this business. And that's exactly what I did. I worked on building my audience some more. I created different offerings. I sold. I used sales tactics.
You have to, yeah.
And I sold. And I built I would say by the end of 2013, it was a 6-figure business.
Wow.
2014 was really a year that kind of changed my life, because then I discovered large publications.
Wow.
And I discovered that you could write for some of the largest media and business publications in the world. And without knowing anything about anything, I just started sending articles to them like, hey, you should publish me. And some worked and some didn't. But by getting published on these sites by the middle of 2014, it exploded. Like it 10x'd my business. It was insane. Not only was I talking to people like in the internet marketing and online space, I was talking to real everyday business owners. And some of those business owners hired me. And so the income grew fast. By the end of 2014, I had done $250,000 in income that year. From 2015, some companies started reaching out to me saying, hey, we see what you're doing. We like the content. We'd love for you to come to our company and expand upon the training. And they're like, we'll pay you. And I'm like, what? You'll pay me? And then like, we'd like to send you to our offices and some other places. Would you be up for that? I'm like, sure, where? And I remember the very first international consulting gig that I did was in Panama. And I'm like, wow, I've never thought about going to South America. I'll go to Panama. And then after that, it was Israel. It was Tel Aviv. I got to go to Tel Aviv. And then it was Morocco. And then it was Egypt. And I'm like, you're going to pay me to come out here? And it just kind of blew my mind at that point. And so fast forward till today, that's exactly what I do. I go to about 16 countries a year for consulting work. I still write for the publications. I coach a few clients here and there. I do some group classes. But the most important thing is I have a business that I absolutely love. I wake up every day and I'm excited for what I get to do.
That is just phenomenal. And this is why I really want to have you on as well, because as I mentioned earlier, you can get to a place in your business where you're doing well, you're making that 5,000, you're making 10,000 a month consistently. But what's next for you? I know that you talk about you use the F word a lot in your emails. You use the F word a lot in your emails. You've got that use the F word in your book, which is right here, which is Stop Chasing Influencers. And that F word is freedom. It's freedom,
It's like
Kimanzi.
a
Oh,
teaser.
you thought you were thinking, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
I don't use profanity online. But you talk about ultimate freedom. So in order for us to then break away from the one-to-one coaching, and then we're going to get onto the freedom piece a bit later. But you've made that money. You decided that, hey, you're going to write this book. You then decided that, you can write for these publications and, make an impact worldwide. I mean, come on, all of these different countries. What mindset shift did you have to make in order to do that?
I think the biggest came down to belief. And
The sound is gone.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, you're back.
Okay, I think the biggest came down to belief.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I didn't think that like a bread guy could do this, could write books, could write for large websites, could travel, could consult at companies. I didn't think I thought I had to have all these certifications and degrees, and I had to have all this stuff before I could do any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was belief that it was possible,
Mm-hmm.
and belief in myself. And once I conquered that mindset of not believing, then I was able to say, okay, how do I practically do this? What are the steps?
Mm-hmm.
And when I started looking at the industry in general, that's kind of why I stopped chasing influencers, why I wrote that book, is because everybody said to do this at this level, you have to connect with somebody at the top. They're going to give you a shout out or something or whatever, right? They're going to mention you to their email list. You do some
Blah,
work.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's all there. And I saw everybody doing this and they were wasting so much time. And I saw that you could do this to yourself. So I had to realize that if I'm going to do this, I can't do it in the way that everybody else is typically doing it. I can't follow the typical advice. I have to find out what works and what's going to work for my specific situation.
Yeah. And that's what I really love about you as well, and which is the reason why I got this book, because as you know, with me as well, I always go against the grain, against the norm. You don't have to do what everyone else does in order to create this freedom-based lifestyle. So this is why I really wanted you on here. So continue. I just interrupted.
Yeah, no, but it's the truth. And really a lot of that advice is so old. And it doesn't work. To connect with the top people these days, it's going to be extremely hard. And more than that, you're probably not going to get that shout out. And the reality was, for most of us, we have the bright, shiny object syndrome. We see somebody do something and we want to run there. Somebody just, I just made $1,000 on Snapchat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go try to use Snapchat. Oh, I just did this with webinars. Oh, okay, I got to do webinars and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, you have to find out what works for you, what works for your business. And more than anything, I knew that I just needed to build an audience, period. I just needed to build an audience. So for me, again, the mindset was believing what's possible, believing that it's possible for me, not following traditional advice, and then going out there and taking the action steps that would lead to results for me.
Brilliant. What do you say, because obviously you've been publishing these large publications, you've been featured on numerous podcasts. What do you say to people that think that, oh, but I'm not pretty enough, or I don't look a certain way? What do you think about that?
I think it's hogwash. At the end of the day, people that are going to buy from you or invest their time or energy with you are going to care about one thing: your content. What's in it for them? They're there to learn. They're not there to date you. They're not there. Now there is some. If you go on Instagram and you see some of the the girls and they're kind of dressed a little scanty, or even the
Mm-hmm.
boys for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, those people care about your appearance, but at the end of the day, those aren't going to make very good customers to you.
Mm.
People want your content. When you have good content, it doesn't matter what you've looked like. Like, I'll give you a perfect example on
Mm-hmm.
myself. I'm gonna get real honest here, Petra.
Okay.
I had gone through a pretty messy divorce at
Mm-hmm.
the end of 2015-ish. And there were a lot of people that took a lot of sides. There were a lot of people that came out of the woodwork to say a lot of bad things about me
Mm-hmm.
without knowing anything about any situation or
Yeah.
what's going on. A lot of people said really negative things. And that kind of thing can hurt a business. But it did not hurt my business. My business didn't skip a beat because I consistently produce good content that helps people, that adds value, and that's very practical.
Mm-hmm.
So people said, this is just rumors, but this guy has added value to my life. He continues to add value to my life.
Mm-hmm.
And they stuck around, and they're still here. So it doesn't matter what you look like, or, if you got something crazy, maybe you decide you want a tattoo on your forehead. That might be a little distracting if you do video, but if you have good content, people are going to be into it.
Brilliant. So share with us then, how else then can a consultant who has a very specific expertise, how else can they make money in their business other than doing one-to-one? So as I mentioned, we're talking today about how to create that multiple six figures, and also having the life of freedom. So not being bound, speaking one-to-one with your clients over Skype or Zoom or something. So tell us then tell us the steps of what it takes to actually make that multiple six figures. What's next?
Well, the most important piece in that is that, well, it's not the most important, but it's one of the most important, is that you need an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than social media. Social media is part of the equation, but as anybody who's listening to this knows, the organic reach is not very high.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need some social, but you need an email list. Email list is very important. Do you need a 10,000 person email list? No, you don't. Honestly, I've seen clients and myself with an email list of 800 or 1,000 and do extremely well with that email list.
Yep.
Because the opportunity is there, especially if you have good pricing, if you have high-end pricing.
Yes.
If you have high-end pricing and you got 800 people that you're talking to, you don't really need to sell to that whole list to make good money.
Yeah.
You could sell to 10 people on that list, 20, and you'd make incredible money. So having high-end pricing, having an email list, having some social followers, the point is having an audience. That's where it starts. And there's a lot of things you can do to build an audience. You can be an interview on a podcast like this, write for large publications, you can guest blog, you can run Facebook ads, you can do webinars, you can do SEO. There's a lot of ways to build an audience, but you need to build that audience first. Then you need to figure out what your offerings are going to be, and you really need more than one. You need multiple streams of income. So you want to have your course or your class or maybe your membership website. Your coaching, of course, is one thing, but then speaking and consulting are some other things. You want to have multiple ways to make money, because if you just have one, you're going to constantly be beating that into your audience. And some people are going to say, yes, no, I don't know. But when you have something different, you're constantly throwing something new at them or something different. Or some people have like 4 signature offerings. If you look at somebody like Brendan Bouchard, who has a few things. He has High Performance Academy, Experts Academy, World's Greatest Speaker. So he has like 3 or 4 offerings that he's pushing during different times, and he's making a good income with that. So you're going to need to come up with some different things that you sell in your business. Even if you have a specific niche, there are different ways that you can deliver that in the niche.
Right.
Like I have a client who does, she helps people transition their careers. She has a resume writing course. She has a job interview course. She has a how to get promotion membership website. She's got like a few different offerings.
Yeah.
So once you have a few different offerings, you push those to the list over a different amount of time. That helps your income add up. And then, of course, there's the kicker, which is speaking and consulting, which most people do not do in their business. Now, you don't have to travel the world and do gigs all over the world to do speaking and consulting. You could start where you live. Wherever you live, you can go do some local speaking gigs. You can do some local consulting gigs at companies. The reality is that small business does not do a lot of things well.
let's talk more about the speaking and consulting then, because people always kind of ask, should I charge for speaking or should I not? Where does someone start? Do you have to start with free speaking first?
No, no, you do not.
Good.
If you want to do some free speaking to help yourself speak, join Toastmasters, right? But don't go out there and do gigs for free where you're sharing your knowledge and your time, and you're doing that for free for quote unquote experience. You don't have to do that. You really don't. If you're going to share your knowledge and expertise, you should be getting paid for that. I don't care if it's, $100 or $500. You should be getting something for your time. So no, the answer is no, you don't have to start for free.
So how do you find those speaking gigs? So say we're going to be starting local. What's the best way to go about that?
Well, depending on where you live, it's going to be different in every country. But you'll normally find there are certain business journals or things like that. I know at least we have them in the United States. There are certain business journals where you can look at that list off different events. But I'm going to say for the most part, where people normally start is at an organization that's like a Rotary Club or Chamber of Commerce. And if you're not familiar with that, if there's not that in your country, there's
we have those here.
Oh, okay, there you go. It's just a business organization where business owners come to meet and they have meetings. And in those meetings, they bring in a speaker. And Rotary Club and Chamber of Commerce are the best place to start because they're easier to get into. If you can have a decent pitch that says, hey, I'm not a nut job and I have this expertise and I'd love to come in and educate your audience on this, more than likely they're going to let you come in. They're going to get you on the schedule. Two, you're speaking to business owners in these events. So what happens if you do a good job with what you're talking about?
So are we meant to contact them and pitch ourselves?
Yes, you're contacting them and pitch yourselves. And when you go in there and do a good job, since you're talking to business owners, you can walk away with business. Not only maybe some people for your class, maybe some one-on-one work, but also more than anything, what I've seen with clients is when they do Rotary Clubs and Chamber of Commerces, they walk away with other opportunities to speak. Business owner will say, hey, I'd love to have you come talk to our organization, or I'd love to have you come talk to our company. So it's the most natural place to start. Whereas even though you are going to go in there and speak for free, it's a different kind of free because you're talking to business owners. And then also when you do that, make sure you get video.
Yes.
Yourself speaking is very important. Get some video and get some testimonials to put on your website.
So in terms of the entrepreneur, especially if you are, say, a business coach, a life coach, something like that, and you're normally working with your people, with someone one-to-one, you've never done any kind of corporate speaking before. How can you transition your message or kind of tweak your message that it fits to a much more corporate audience that is going to be paying you to speak?
Here, the thing is that most people assume when you go to consult at a company that you have to have some kind of polished, technical, whatever kind of message. And the reality is companies hire consultants for all kinds of things. They hire them for leadership, for productivity, for mindset, for digital marketing, for sales, they hired consultants for all kinds of things. In the US, companies last year paid outside consultants $39 billion.
Wow.
$39 billion. So you want to talk about an opportunity, and that's not even worldwide. So you want to talk about an opportunity, there's an opportunity. The thing is, you're thinking about how can you tailor your message in a way that's a little bit more data-driven. So you may have a personal development message, like let's say a mindset or leadership or whatever. How do you make that more data-driven? And by that, what I mean is you have to show through data how this will help the company's bottom line.
Right.
So if it's mindset, what's the data? What does the data say for somebody that has a mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset or whatever, that's going to help them be more productive at the company and increase the company's bottom line?
Wow.
That's what we're looking to produce in the pitch for a company. Sales, like something like you do, Petra, sales, it's a little bit of an easier go because everybody needs to learn how to do sales, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you have something that's a little bit more personal development, how do you transition that to be a little bit more data driven? And that's the key right there. And you can do it because all the information is available online.
So we've just spoken briefly about the pitching to local businesses. So what about, how do you even pitch to businesses abroad? I mean, you've been to Israel. I know you're going to, I mean, what did you say? 38? You've spoken in
Yeah.
38 countries. How on earth does that happen?
Well,
38 countries. How do you kind of then move from, say, practicing at the the local Rotary Club to then saying, right, okay, I'm now going to pitch myself to a company in Israel?
Well, I think your audience is smart enough to know that it's not going to happen if you're a rookie. You're not going to be able to pitch, 38 countries.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with all the local stuff. So you do the rotaries, but when it comes to consulting, you do local businesses first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wherever you live, you're looking for local companies that are probably, let's say, I don't know, a million or less,
Mm-hmm.
a million or less in revenue, and you're looking for those companies, and that's where you're going to start with your pitch. The reality is it's going to be easier to get a hold of like an HR manager or whoever is in charge of that
Mm-hmm.
company than it would be if you tried to go to Apple or Microsoft or whatever. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to break through that, especially if you don't have a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing local gigs to build your resume, to build your experience, to build your social proof. And you're probably going to do quite a few of those. You're probably going to do quite a few of those local gigs. They're going to pay you, and they're going to pay well. But you need quite a few of those before you could start thinking about approaching the bigger companies and the international companies. And the reality is, if you approach a company, they're going to ask you for, not only they're going to look at your social proof, they're going to ask you for references. And they want to be able to call some people and say, okay, this guy spoke at our company, did a
Right.
good job. So
Mm.
you have to have a good list of references. Before I ever did my first international gig, I had done like 12 local consulting gigs. So
Right.
when they asked for a reference, they were able to call all these people and verify that, yeah, this guy is the real deal.
Brilliant. I love it. So, and then, so you're saying then you can pitch yourself at local companies. So do you set the fee for that? Do you just say, hey, this is my fee? Or do
Yes,
you negotiate?
you have to set the fee. You don't ever want to let anybody else set your fee. You have to set your fee. And with companies, you have to realize everything is magnified. So if you taught an individual in one-on-one coaching how to do something, they could do it. And let's say like Petra taught sales, somebody implemented it and they got a $6,000 client.
Mm-hmm.
When you teach it at a company and they implement your sales thing, they're getting $100,000 clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's magnified. So your fee has to be charged based off of the value. So
Mm-hmm.
like when I tell consultants, what do you charge? I say, you're always probably starting at like $1,000 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what? You have to realize you're paying based off of the value. And you definitely, as Petra would tell you, you don't want to say it's $1,000 an hour. You
Mm-hmm.
want to put it in a package. This
Right.
is my package. It's a 3-hour interactive presentation that comes along with some documents and some follow-up exercises,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to cost you $5,000.
I remember we've spoken before, Kimanzi, and you said that when you just started, when you just started, you said, yeah, and my fee was 5,000 to speak.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, just 5,000. So is that the kind of the lower end when you're just starting out kind of thing?
It definitely is. It's the lower end because when you get to the bigger companies, they do and will pay more.
Brilliant.
When you're just starting out, you want to make sure you're not too low because they're going to think you don't respect yourself or
Yeah.
respect your work.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God, I love that.
Yeah, they're gonna think you're not a very good consultant. So you do want to start, and you don't want to be too high because they don't want you to think that you're crazy. Like, what does this guy think he's gonna get that? He's not, Michael Jordan.
So
So
I know that you're on a European tour right now. I know that there's confidentiality in obviously what you're teaching these companies, but are you happy to share with us right now the income that you're currently making from from this tour? Are you happy with that or?
I can share it generally because, as you
Mhm.
probably can guess, when you sign on with some companies, they make you sign non-disclosure agreements.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Or
I can.
roughly, just give us a ballpark.
Yeah, roughly each of these gigs that I'm doing is roughly between $10,000 and $20,000 per training. And these
Right.
trainings can range from 2 hours to 4 hours. So it's 10 or 20K for 2 to 4 hour training in each of these places.
Do you see
Yeah.
this smile? Okay.
But I
Um,
do want to put a caution because I think when people hear stuff like that, they're giddy excited, and probably the next thing you're going to do for the next week is you're going to be researching consulting.
yes.
And I don't want to get you off of your track.
Hmm.
You can do this and you can incorporate this into your business, but there's like 10 steps that you need to do before that. And that was the
That's
things
right.
that Petra and I talked about. Build your audience, have a clear message, a
Mm.
very crystal clear message, have multiple offerings, build that business a little bit, then start approaching local companies, start approaching them, put a pitch together and approach local companies, get some of these under your belt. Then you can start going after some of the bigger companies and get that kind of money.
Absolutely. That has been so helpful. You've completely opened my mind to a new world out there, because I think that as entrepreneurs, you can kind of just get stuck in this small internet space. But there is a whole world out there. You could get found. Obviously, you're writing for all of these different types of magazines. You can get found by different companies that are going to be asking you to speak at events. So I want you that you're listening right now, I want you to kind of expand your thinking and, know that you do deserve the life of freedom. That's the F word that Kimanzi is always talking about. So, Kimanzi, I know that you definitely help your clients, because what I love about you is that you still love to work with clients on a one-to-one level and also in a group level, as well as doing your higher end corporate stuff. So can you share with us exactly what do you have going on right now that we can learn more about? One, how to get published into these large publications, and I know that you can actually get paid to write in these publications. And then also, how can you kind of work with us to then start to build the audience, start to pitch to these local companies, to build our resume, to build our impact. So share with us, how can we find you and how do you work with your clients to do what I've just said?
Yeah, my main website is kconstable.com,
Mm-hmm.
and there you can get free blog posts and videos and articles and all kinds of good stuff that will teach you some of this, and it'll definitely walk you through and give you some really good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
For one-on-one clients, these days, I'm usually only taking those off of referrals. So if
Mm-hmm.
somebody that I know refers a client, then I'll work with them.
Mm-hmm.
But this is another thing we didn't talk about, Petra.
Okay.
Sometimes when you do consulting work at these companies, some of the employees in these companies need a little bit more. And some
Oh,
of these companies will allow their employees to hire you on a one-to-one basis. So like, here we go.
you
Like,
didn't mention that,
I
Kimanzi.
didn't. So like I consulted at a company here. I'm in London right now.
Mm-hmm.
Petra's a little bit north of me, but I'm in London here right now. And the company that I consulted for yesterday allowed their managers, their department managers, to hire me for one-on-one work. So
That's
I ended up
amazing.
taking on four new clients, high-end clients, and these are $15,000 or more clients
Mm-hmm.
that signed on yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So the one-to-one work now is reserved for like employees at companies and referrals, because
Yes.
I want to work with people that I know are going to be go-getters. I don't
Mm.
want to work with somebody that's going to get the training, and even if they have the money, and not do anything with it, because that's
Mm-mm.
not worth my time or yours.
Mm-hmm.
But group classes, I do group classes. I have one that I just launched today
Oh,
um,
cool.
called Get Booked, and it will teach you everything that Petra just mentioned. It'll teach you how to write for large publications, and then how do you leverage that to get organic gigs and then gigs that you pitch. It'll show you how to find speaking gigs, how to find consulting gigs, how to pitch them, the presentations, all the nitty-gritty details. And you
That
can
is
find that by
wonderful.
going to
Mm-hmm.
kconstable.com/booked, and it will tell you all the details for that.
Brilliant. I'm going to put all of the links below the video. So, Kimanzi, I've got one last question for you. And the question is, are you ready to roll?
I'm definitely ready. Like, you started this interview by asking, like, what's the next step?
Yes.
And for me, the next logical step is I'm going to start a digital marketing agency. So
Oh, cool.
if you follow like Gary Vaynerchuk, he has like Vayner Media.
Yep.
I want to do something like that, but at a smaller scale, like let's say 10 people or less,
Mm-hmm.
but a media company that's going to handle all the digital media for some of these larger companies. I've worked with some really large companies, and more are coming every day. I have several meetings with companies that if I told you who they were, you'd be like, what? And I'm going to start an agency and bring on some people and do this at a little bit of a bigger level.
Oh, good. I'm
But if I
excited to hear
wasn't,
more about that.
yeah, if I wasn't, what would be next? I would think about what are some of my goals. What do I want to do? And for me, it's always not so much business. I call this lifestyle business because I want the business to support my lifestyle. I want a lifestyle that I love and enjoy, and then have a business that supports that. So if I didn't have the agency, I would still be traveling to the countries that I want to travel to, somewhere on my bucket list. I would still be working with great companies. I'd still be working with great clients, and I would just be living a comfortable life. I don't have to be at the $10 million status. I think we all kind of want to strive for that first 7 figures, right? But I don't have to be at $10 million and blah, 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 and have the funnels and all that other stuff.
Yes.
I love this life. I love travel. I love seeing people and new things. And this is what I would do.
Brilliant. So just so we can get to know a little bit more about you, what is your favorite book?
I'm an author, so when you say what's your favorite book, that's a tough one.
He's going to say, my book.
No,
Mine.
I'd say my favorite book is, I probably have a couple favorite books. My favorite book is a fiction book called The Charm School. And it was a book that my grandfather gave me when I was 10 years old. And it just opened my eyes to books and this whole world of reading and writing. So that, I think, has to be at the top of the bucket list. If I would think about a book that probably has made the most impact, like a fiction book that has made the most impact in my life, I'd probably say it was a book called 48 Days to the Work You Love by a man named Dan Miller. And it wasn't a book about 48 days to finding the best job. It was all the mindset stuff. How do you get to the point where you can take 48 days to do something pretty amazing in your life? So I'd probably say those two are my favorite books.
Brilliant. What is the one thing in your business that you can't do without?
My MacBook.
Okay. What would you say?
MacBook, but I would say travel too. At this point, is travel.
MacBook and travel.
Yeah.
What would you say is your weakness as an entrepreneur?
To work too much. Like, I'm a single guy and I'm kind of moving around. So like, I can work nonstop. Like I can wake up in the morning and work, and I'll be working at 11 o'clock at night. Sometimes it's very hard for me to turn it off.
Okay. So share with us then, what is the one thing that you believe to be true that other people disagree with?
That you can build your dream or business or whatever without following popular advice, what's commonly accepted advice. I think a lot of people think that you need to do certain things. I don't believe that you do.
I love that. So just one final question, and if you can leave us with the final note, share with us what's one of your mantras that you live by?
It's actually something that I said in my second book, and I don't want to sound vain quoting myself, but in my second book, I had this paragraph where I was talking about the death of my father. My father died at 54 unexpectedly. And it sparked me to really think about life and how short life is and about stuff. And the quote is, at the end of your life, you're not going to remember all the things that you had. You'll remember and cherish your experiences.
Wow.
So for me, I'm a little bit of extreme where all that I own is everything that's in my backpack. And I move around a lot. I don't have a storage locker with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
All I have is what's in my backpack. That's it. So it seems kind of extreme. But even if I had a house and a few things, I wouldn't live life for the stuff. I would live life to create the experiences. And that's, what I'm doing right now.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Kimanzi, for joining us. What I want you to do is be sure to connect with Kimanzi at his website. I'm definitely going to put the link below. And listen, this is brilliant. Kimanzi just really shown you how you can then, you've made your first 100,000. You're comfortable making 5,000, 10,000. It's all good. But you know something? There's so much more out there. There's so much more. And I want you to contact Kimanzi, you know, get onto his program that's going to help you to reach those goals that you probably haven't even thought about in your life, so that you can actually create that ultimate freedom. Okay, so be sure to give us a thumbs up on YouTube, and be sure to give us a comment below and share your thoughts about today's high-end rollers TV episode. Okay, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.